Hello, my dear, and welcome to our 5 minutes with Ekaterina vlog about Dnipro, the central Ukraine. Today I would like to give you a brief update about what's happening in the city. And the previous time we were talking, I told you that there were massive bombings and that the heating season has to be stopped earlier. Actually, at that moment, the government found a way not to stop the heating season, and it went up to the moment where it was scheduled, so it's, almost for 1 more week we had heating. But now, without the heating in my apartment, it is 20 degrees Celsius because the weather outside is very warm and it's from something between 20 and 26 degrees. It's very sunny, very dry. And in this situation, the climate is on the Ukrainian side. As you maybe know, some parts of Russia are now flooded and they have big problems with it. The dams are collapsing, and it gives some kind of feelings that when they were happy that the Kakhovka Dam was destroyed by them, now they can see the karma. But it's a very big contrast here, and it's dry and warm, so people stopped heating their houses, and that means that the winter is over, and basically we passed the winter and it was the most worrying season. Now we are worrying about the next winter because the bombings did not stop, and these continuous bombings, they led to the situation when, according to the government, 75 or even more than 75% of all electric stations, small electric stations, they were destroyed, and the only electrical energy that we still have is basically the atom electricity from the nuclear power stations. And this means that it's very unstable, and this spreading stations, electricity substations, they are destroyed and they are not working properly. That's why if the load will be big, even in summer, it is with the air conditioners, it's predicted that we might have the electricity blackouts again. We will see what happens. It's very hard to say, but till this moment we have electricity, we have water, and the biggest problem is the bombings. And I have a friend who lives abroad, and he was asking how's it going, and I said, oh, it's pretty heavy bombings because this week is relatively calm, but before this it was pretty bad, and I wanted to record a video, but I wasn't able to. I felt that I just can't. It was pretty dangerous situation. So the bombings are not stopping, and I was saying, oh, there are bombings, and it was right in the moment of bombings. And he said, until you get used to it, isn't it something normal? And that struck me, and I was pretty shocked that people can think that bombings are getting into normality, because that is not true. It's the same scary, and sometimes it's even more scary than it used to be, because first of all, now you know what can happen after the bombings, you know consequences very well, and also the level of stress that you experience, it accumulates, and your psychological state is not in a very good point, so you cannot just calmly observe the situation. You're starting to panic, a lot of people cannot sleep, you stop sleeping well at night, and the health deteriorates. So basically, no, it's not normal, and it's not something usual. And I'm very upset that people abroad think that nothing wrong is happening just because the bombings are there for 2 years. That's the point which I was thinking, if there is many people having this opinion, and I just wanted to talk about it. So it's terrible. And for example, in Kharkiv, they changed the tactics, and they bomb the civilian object, and then the rescue team comes, and then they bomb the rescue team. So they deliberately send 2 bombs, and they're waiting and long enough for the rescue team to come, and in this way a lot of rescuers were either wounded, and regretfully some of them died this way. So Russians are killing civilians, and when you know this, it adds up the stress. On the one hand, it's like, what are the chances that out of all these big residential buildings, your building will be hit? But on the other hand, there is the possibility that it will be your building, because it's not discriminating it, it's just random sending of a bomb just to kill civilians and impose terror. And that's exactly how terror works. That's why the situation is not easy, and it's not easy mentally either. But many people who look at Kharkiv, they ask how they can help. And I had another conversation with my friend who is helping for many years to Ukraine. And he was saying, I would like to help those people affected. And we were talking about it. From abroad, from the foreign news, it seems that if you don't have enough food, for example, or that the situation is so bad that you need just daily items, or you need like shelter. So the problems are a bit different from inside, because there is enough food in Ukraine, so there is no need to import food to Ukraine. And if you're healthy, and if you're working, or somebody from your family is working, you have the opportunity to buy food. And if the bombing happens, the rescue team comes, even if there is another bomb, there will be another rescue team. But the rescue operation tries to save everybody, and people are treated in hospitals, and there are points where they can be located temporarily, even for free. So you cannot really help it unless you know how to help providing Patriot systems or any kind of anti-missile systems to Ukraine. So if you can, if you have this political lobby, please help us with this. But these people whom you see on TV, usually they will receive the care. There are a lot of international organizations targeting them. There is a different group of people, and those are vulnerable people, especially from rural areas closer to the front line, including Kharkiv region, including Donetsk region, including Zaporizhia and Kherson regions. So they were not very rich before the war. They were not rich at all before the war. And if they have children, or if they have old people, if they have people with disabilities in the family, regretfully, they cannot survive without somebody else's help. And we were talking about the reasons why they don't leave their homes. We are not discussing it, but they rely on volunteers bringing them things. So that's specific families with specific needs, specific demands. They do need food, not because we don't have food in Ukraine, just because they cannot afford it. And if you think about their needs, just think about someone in your community who is very poor for various reasons, and that will be the same needs. So it's children's diapers, it's diapers for disabled adults, it will be specific food, it will be clothing, it will be, for example, crunches. So all these things you're thinking like supporting everyday life. And that are things that are needed the most now. So to provide to those people who cannot provide for themselves, and to help families with children, families with disabled people who cannot make their money in the village. Nothing is working, there is no internet, often there is no electricity, for example. So to bring them this means of supporting themselves. And that's also something that is not very clear if you watch the foreign news, even if you follow, because not many things you can see now in the foreign news. But even if you follow, you will see certain images presented in a certain way, and you don't think like, oh, how is it organized, what international organizations are helping, in which way the help is provided. But basically the biggest need now is this vulnerable people, and also the biggest need, of course, is the army. Supporting the army, it's still the big need where like individuals can help. Individuals can help with drones, for example, parts for the drones. It's not necessarily you need to buy the whole drone. You can buy the part of the drone. There is like a printing army in Ukraine that they print parts for the drones on 3D printers at their homes. So there are various things which can be done to the army, even smaller ones. And those are also a priority. Again, food for the army now is provided as well. It's okay, so it's not the need to send them some food to the front line, because I saw some people were trying to collect it, and it's not something that is urgent or something that is highly needed, for example. And also that's basically things that you can do, so that if you want to provide, if you have money, but also there are things that you can do even if you cannot send some money, or you don't have funds, you don't trust the organization, you don't have people who you know. Basically, you also can change the situation, talking to your friends, talking to your relatives, writing letters to the governments, because they do react to the letters in democracy societies, they do it, and just trying to explain the situation, just transferring your worries, because people are not informed. Now people are shifting their attention towards other conflicts, but Ukraine is still one of the biggest, probably the biggest military conflict of our times, and just informing people on it, saying, okay, you don't see it on the news. For example, we were looking at Al Jazeera with my other friend, and he said, like, it's very far, I cannot see any updates on Ukraine. And if you see some updates, they will be like ridiculous. So you need to talk, you need to tell people that there is still a war, and that it's very worrying, it's not getting better, it's getting worse in many circumstances, because Russia gained the land again. I just don't want to discuss it, but Russia is gaining land every day, so every day we're losing. It's not only land, it's also people, it's lives. So Russia did not give up. It's not a stalemate. It's a military operations where Russia is winning. It's the humanitarian crisis for the vulnerable parts of the society. It's bombings, terror of civilian, and it's not stopping. So that's a message that should be very clear, and people should remember about it. Even if they're sorry for Ukraine, they will not just update it, and they might have acted if they knew it more. So that's something that also can be done. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for staying with us. And I hope to see you soon in much better circumstances. Goodbye for now.